1 whole year. I don't understand how that's literally possible, but here we are. It's another great day to be alive at the same time as Taylor Swift, 1 year after the ERAS Tour film premiere. If you're new here or just tuning into my channel, hi, my name is Ray Dame, and I really hesitated, I should say, for a long time sharing my love for Taylor Swift on the internet. Why? Because I'm a full-time content creator. I felt like I would lose out on brand partnerships. I didn't know if it would resonate with my audience, and I was like, meh, I don't know. Fast forward, I've been doing this for 5 years now, and my life has completely changed ever since I started authentically sharing my love for Taylor Swift. And I say that in the best way possible, not just because it landed me this invite to the ERAS Tour film premiere last year, but because I genuinely feel like I have found my people. And I say that because community is difficult to cultivate in general. I think finding girlfriends is difficult to do. Not enough people talk about, the fact that we see it in shows and TVs and movies and social media, these like perfect montages of your girlfriends and your besties. But the reality is, the older you get, if you move cities, if you have kids, whatever it is, it becomes inherently harder to make friends. And I feel like one of the positives that I see from social media and always have is finding like-minded people and finding people who resonate with things that are important to you. And that's difficult to do in today's society. And we're so digitally focused. Why not lean into the things that people are already on social media, right? Why not find them there? So that's my soapbox as to why I firmly believe posting about Taylor Swift on the internet has changed my life for the better. And I thank her for that, for creating this safe space of people who are just so loving and warm and kind and welcome. And I guess I should preface this video by saying I have never set out to talk about Taylor Swift on the internet to come up as a fangirl. I have a Taylor Swift podcast called Swiftie School. I do monthly clown calls with other people who are Swifties to talk about all things Taylor, but my goal is never to be a fangirl, right? I mean, obviously I am, but my content focus is never to be a fangirl. My content focus is to take that same feeling that Taylor creates for me as a fan, that warmth and fuzzy feeling that her lyrics give me, that her concerts create, the vibe, the energy, and pour that same energy into content I'm putting out into the world. And if Swifties so happen to find it, great. If you resonate more with my sense of style, if you resonate more with my mental health, if you resonate more with my journey as a content creator, fantastic. I am happy you're here regardless. And I feel like that's a perfect segue to talk about this absolutely life-changing experience that I had being invited to the ERAS Tour film premiere. Now, allow me to set the scene. I'm like digging through the archives of my brain because I feel like there's life pre-ERAS Tour film premiere and in life post. So it is October 2023, and as I mentioned earlier, I have been doing content creation for about 5 years, honestly. I'm coming up on 5 years. I started in 2020, and, my journey has really pivoted about 600 million times, but where I'm at currently is a very different place than when I was in 2020 content-wise. Like I said, I introduced Taylor content in the year of 2023, really around the time slightly before the ERAS Tour starting, so I guess the beginning of 2023, and then I attended the ERAS Tour the first night, Glendale, by myself, and that's where I kind of came up with my catchphrase, like, on accident, of "It's another great day to be alive at the same time as Taylor Swift," because I mean that, and I started a video that way, and then I kept making videos that way, and it just seemed to click. So anyways, I feel like at that point of October, I had been in this like sort of weird, crazy whirlwind of putting Taylor content on the internet. And obviously this is like the peak of like Barbie summer. We're coming out of like ERAS Tour, like first big leg. It is just all the rage. I mean, it still is going into the final portion of the ERAS Tour. But at this point in time, like Taylor is absolutely inescapable in terms of like social media and the digital landscape. So a lot of my brand contacts and contacts at places like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram were obviously very well aware of the fact that I was creating Taylor content and it was performing well. And I think something I pride myself on with my Taylor content, kind of speaking to the point I made earlier, is I try not to be gossipy. Like, I am not gossipy with my content in terms of Taylor. Like, I provide factual information. Obviously for clowning, that's one thing, but it's kind, it's focused around, a different sort of conversation than like just sitting there and like spewing facts on like she was seen outside of a pizzeria wearing a plaid skirt and blah, 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 blah. Like, you know what I mean? And so a couple of my contacts at different brands knew that, and platforms, and YouTube, actually, one of my contacts at YouTube reached out to me. I guess it was like the beginning of October. The premiere was the 11th. I got the invite officially on the 9th, and I think I got like the email of like gauging my interest. I want to say it was like on the 7th. So it was a very rapid timeline. But basically they reached out and it was like an urgent message and was like, are you available? Slash, assuming you are interested, question mark. And I was like, absolutely. I will be there with bells on. What do I have to do? Like, tell me everything. And so from there, my contact at YouTube put me in contact with Taylor Nation. So that was sort of like the invisible string of how I got in contact with Taylor Nation. And from there, I then had to fill out my information. And basically they were like, this is not guaranteed. You will not be guaranteed until we finalize and you receive like X, Y, and Z. I'm not really going to share all of that because I have to keep confidential. Anyways, so I am then waiting on pins and needles the next like 48 hours, feverishly checking, like, did I actually send the email? Like, did I spell my email address right? Did I like give them the right phone number? Like, did I do all this? Like, I was freaking out. And then I was like, I didn't want to get too excited or I didn't want to talk about it online because I was like, what if the invite doesn't actually go through? Like, so freaking scary. And then I was like, do I start planning outfits? Do I not? Like, do I even know the details? I don't know. Like, are they just going to give me an invite to like stand outside? I really didn't know the details because this was kind of a hush hush thing. Like, it wasn't like public, this invite. So fast forward, I get the email and it's essentially a digital envelope. And the email opens up, it says my name on it, Randy Bailey, and the digital envelope opens up, the ticket slides out, and it has the details. And the crazy part is, you guys obviously know I live in Los Angeles. I've lived here for, 8 years now. It is literally around the corner. I live super close to the Grove, and that was crazy as well, that I'm like, this is happening like in my backyard. Like, I am not computing properly right now. So then it was the mad dash to figure out, what am I going to wear? What is Matt going to wear? Matt's my boyfriend if you're new. What am I going to wear? What is Matt going to wear? And like, oh my God, I have to tell people online that I'm going to the ERAS Storytime premiere. Like, I couldn't actually believe it. So to give you a perspective of the Grove layout, Taylor had basically reserved, I don't know if there's actually 13 theaters there, if she was using 13 theaters, but there were 13 different movie theaters and they each held, I don't know, a normal amount of people in a movie theater. So you can do the math there. But a lot of these people you have to keep in mind were like Taylor's family and friends, her backup dancers, like her crew, people like Beyonce, like actual huge celebrities, Shin Lim from Barbie, like a lot of big name people. So then there was just like this small portion of that 1,000 that were people like myself. There was really, I want to say only like that I could recognize maybe like 30 to 50 like actual content creator fans. A lot of the people were like industry executives and their families and all that jazz. Like you can think about just like her dancers alone and their plus ones. That's like, or her like team from tour. So anyways, I felt incredibly mind blown that I was a part of that number, a small pool of people that were actually there. But I want to set the scene for you because the security was actually one of the most insane things that I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Starting, if you're familiar with Los Angeles, the Grove, you take Fairfax Ave and then you turn into the Grove. Fairfax was absolutely littered with police. We're talking motorcades. We're talking police lining the streets. Then, once you get into the Grove was completely barricaded with so much security. It's actually, I can't describe to you how much security there was, but I do have a video of how many security checkpoints we had to go through. We had to go through probably at least 10 metal detectors. On every single level of the parking garage, you would have to go down the escalator, through a metal detector, down the escalator, through a metal detector. Then once you were on like the actual grounds of the Grove, you had to go through metal detector. Then you had to go through like 2 different ID checks to check your ID and ticket. And then one final check when they gave us our envelope with our like physical copies of our tickets for our seats in a theater. So from there, the Grove had actually covered like the entire, and if you don't know what the Grove is, it's a shopping center, a very luxe shopping center here in Los Angeles that was actually designed in partnership with retired Disney Imagineers. So it's very much, think like if you've ever been to downtown Disney, like Disney Springs kind of vibe, that's the vibe. But it's like a shopping center in the middle of LA. So they had actually covered the entire like cobblestone floor of the Grove with a red carpet. And it kind of looped around the big fountain area. It was a very, very large area. All of the footage and like videos and pictures of Taylor actually came from like the other portion of the Grove. You never really saw Taylor on like the left side where like the fountain and grassy area is, because that's where they kind of funneled everybody who was a guest. So we walk around and they had like kind of these like barricades to make like all the store fronts were kind of all covered up with these barricades that had ERAS tour sort of imagery on them. And then in front of the theater, they had the most gorgeous florals. And you saw pictures of Taylor getting taken right there in front of all the florals with like her dancers and then posing in her blue Oscar de la Renta dress right there. Aside from the florals, it was just so beautifully decorated. They also had a Capital One little section where you could go, and it was this like big, think like a big cube, like a very large cube, like the size of my office. And then you could go inside and they had a green screen and they would do this video of you posing with all the like versions of Taylor. It was really, really cute. It's super fun to do. And the team was just really, really nice. They clearly, obviously, have like worked with Taylor's team before. We know Capital One she does a lot of pre-sales for them. You guys get the drill. But then there was a fan portion of the red carpet, and that was completely blocked off from anybody who was an actual guest of the premiere. So I did know people who were invited by Taylor Nation to be a red carpet guest. I was invited to actually attend the premiere itself. So there was 2 different versions of the invites, and I'm incredibly grateful to get the one where I got to sit in the movie theater with her parents, which we'll get to that in a minute. So anyways, the red carpet with the fan section was completely blocked off. Like, we couldn't see what was on the other side of that barricade, but Taylor did go out there, and you saw a lot of those pictures and videos. Like, if you follow McCall here on YouTube, I think her and her sister were in that area. I think I saw a picture of them with Taylor, like a selfie, and a couple other fans that you guys probably follow on socials. But from my personal experience, we're standing there, and it was actually the most serendipitous timing of all time. I was so excited and anxious. I wanted to be like one of the first people there. Whatever time I could be there, if it meant I was going to be sitting in my car for 2 hours, I didn't care. So me and Matt were extremely early. I think we got there around like 4 or something. I guess I could look at the timestamps on my phone. But we got there around 5 is when we entered, is when I have some of our first pictures getting our tickets. And I think that they said like be there by 6 or 7 or something like that. So we were there extremely early, and we're standing, and I was like, okay, what do we want to do first? Do we want to go inside and like check out inside, or do we want to do the Capital One thing, or what do we want to do? And we're standing there taking photos, and they were like, okay, we need everyone to push to the sides really fast. And at this point, there's only about maybe like 15 to 20 of us that are kind of standing outside the theater. And I see Tree Payne, and then I see Taylor, and Taylor just emerges from this random side door that's like clearly for employees only. She emerges, and then she walks to the center, and Tree Payne is like fixing her dress, and they pushed, like they told us to all stay to the sides. And that is where I got the infamous video that has been stolen about 600,000 times that I know every single one of you watching who's a Swiftie has seen. And it's a video where I pan and I show Taylor getting her photos done, and then I pan to Andrea standing in the window just admiring this moment, and Taylor having her like time to shine. It gets me emotional just thinking about it because it is such a beautiful moment to witness like firsthand. And it was wild because Taylor is just standing there. Like, she's literally right in front of me. Like, I could sneeze and like she's right there. So I'm having a panic attack because I'm like, I gotta stay cool. Like, I'm not getting kicked out. Like, I will just be here. Like, you got Tree Payne. Like, you don't want me to move? I'm not gonna move. I got you. So we're sitting there, and I'm losing my marbles. Like, Matt's like, please, like, you've got to stay calm. I'm like, I am. So after Taylor's done, she does like her individual photos. She does them with the dancers. I could have stood there all night. Honestly, I didn't really care. Then Taylor goes inside. And at this point I was like, I'm bolting. Like, I'm going inside. And so I like start going, and there was, okay, she's actually going to have a moment inside in front of the step and repeat and take some photos there. So they had us all stand, like we stood like right inside the window and just kind of watched her. And that's where I got some of these photos of her like getting her photo taken. And it's funny, like my little BTS moment is that she kept like pulling up her dress. I think it was an extremely heavy dress is what it looked like. Not totally sure, but it looked very heavy, like a heavy quilted material. So she kept having to like pull it up while she was taking these photos. And the only thing everyone could talk about was like, oh my God, did she cut her hair? Did she cut her hair? Is it a bob? Like, did she cut her hair? Because the way she had it kind of tucked under that night, honestly, kind of like this length. And it was kind of curly, so you couldn't really tell if it was like pinned or cut. But that was all everybody was talking about was like, oh my God, did she cut her hair? So I then saw this window of opportunity because Taylor was done taking her photos. She actually went back out to like the fan side of the carpet to go engage with fans. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go inside because I see Andrea standing there, not talking to anybody. Like, she's just standing there. And I told Matt, I was like, if I'm going to have a chance to talk to Andrea, that chance is going to be now. So I beeline for Andrea. There's really not many security around. Like, they have this gorgeous candy section all set up with different florals and popcorn, and it's the prettiest movie theater setup you've ever seen. Like, florals alone were just chef's kiss. And you could take anything that you wanted. Andrea is standing there, and as I am approaching her, like speed walking, I was being respectful, but I was speed walking because I was like, I want to talk to her before security whisks her away. And someone else sees what I'm doing, and so they kind of like rush up. Totally fine. They went and they kind of like talk to her first, which is no big deal. So I'm standing behind them and I'm like, please, 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 like nobody tell me I can't talk to her. Like after these people, like I'm just praying that I can speak to her. She like kind of makes eye contact and acknowledges that me and Matt are standing there. So we're like, okay, we feel good about this. And it was so sweet. And I don't know the two girls that were standing in front of me talking to her, but Andrea actually remembered them. She said something along the lines, and I was trying to keep my distance to make sure they had their moment, but she said something along the lines of like, oh my gosh, I think they attended like a secret session or something along those lines, it seemed, or they had met Taylor at like a meet and greet because Andrea said, I still have your photo in the kitchen or something like that. Like she clearly knew who these girls were and they were shocked. And it was just really beautiful to see. So it was finally my turn and me and Matt walk up and I literally like chucked my phone at Matt and was like, please record, like please click record. But fortunately and unfortunately, he wasn't really able to record much of the interaction, just like the snippet at the end, because Andrea started talking to Matt as well. And I honestly black out, but I do remember I told her, you know, I'm so grateful to be here. This is such an incredible experience. I admire her daughter so much. I kept it very brief. And there was other people who obviously wanted to speak to her. But she turned to Matt and she was the one who kind of, I didn't know, I wanted to feel out the vibes. Like, does she want to sit there and talk, or was she like, let's keep this show on the road? But she did want to talk, and she turned to Matt and she was like, wow, you are so handsome. And he's like, wow, thank you. And she asked just like, how do you guys know each other or something like that? And it was like kind of small talk, but fantastic small talk. And then she said, do you want to trade bracelets? And she gave me a bracelet that said ERAS tour film that she had made with black and white beads. Have it on display behind me. And then she gave Matt a bracelet that says Mama Swift loves you, which I can't even believe. So I was riding on cloud nine at this point, and I was like, well, I guess we can leave. Like, this is fantastic. Little did I know, we grab our snacks, we do the Capital One thing. I'm like, I need to sit down. Like, I need a minute to process this interaction. And I also got a photo with Andrea and gave her the letter that I wrote Taylor. And I have this picture of the letter, so I'll put it on the screen for you. But I handed that to her, and that's kind of how our interaction ended. And I said, you know, if you could, I wrote this letter for Taylor. I would absolutely love if you could give it to her. And she held it up to her chest, and she said she'll cherish it forever. And something along the lines of, like, she can't wait to give it to her. And she put it in her black Chanel purse. And I was like, oh my God. Like, even if it never made it to Taylor or they, like, threw it away in the trash, I don't know. At least it was in the purse. It was in her mother's purse, which is good enough for me. So from there we go, and we're like, let's get our seats. Let's sit down at the theater. I was in seat 13. Are you kidding me? And we go to the theater, and Scott Swift walks in. And he's like, Reagan, something. He says my name. And he, like, walks up. And he's like, hey. Because I guess when I was talking with Andrea, he was, like, off to the side. And I don't really know, like, if he overheard us introducing ourselves or if Andrea was like, oh, her name's Reagan. I don't know. But when he was walking into the movie theater after us, which, like, out of 13 movie theaters, what are the odds that I was placed in the movie theater with Taylor's parents? Like, what are the odds? I don't know. But anyways, I was in the movie theater with Taylor's parents. And Flavor Flav was sitting next to me and Matt, which he is an icon himself. And we talked to him too, which he's great. I love him. So he walks in and he comes up to me and Matt and he's like, I have something for you guys. And he handed us both Taylor's guitar picks. Like, I can't handle it. Like, I was still hyperventilating from my interaction with Andrea. And then when he walks in, I'm like, what? What the cool? It was crazy. It was honestly crazy. And he's so tall. He's very tall. Taller than you would think. And Andrea is not tall. So that was Scott, and that was great. And then honestly, it was kind of taking forever. Like, it was well past 7 o'clock at this point. The time kept chugging along. We were just sitting in the movie, like, eating our free snacks and stuff. And we were like, well, when is this going to start? Like, everybody was just kind of like, what's going to happen? We don't know. But turns out the reason that there was such a delay in the movie actually starting was because Taylor took it upon herself to visit every single one of the 13 movie theaters and decided to talk to the theater and engage with them and thank them for being there, which, knowing Taylor, she doesn't do anything half ASS. And so she, of course, gave everybody her time, and that was why the holdup was the holdup. So she came into our theater. Again, I did not think, like, I honestly didn't even think she would be at the premiere. I mean, I knew, like, part of me was like, she'll be there, she'll take photos, whatever it might be. I really, like, I don't know what I thought. I didn't know if this was a premiere for fans. Like, I had no idea. And at this point, I also had no idea Beyonce was there. Like, Beyonce arrived after everybody had already made their way into the movie theaters for obvious reasons. Because security, when you have Taylor Swift and Beyonce in the same proximity, like in the same movie theater, security's gonna be tight. There was at all times 3 to 5 helicopters literally hovering over the Grove. That's how insane security was. Plus all the security I mentioned earlier. So we're blissfully unaware of this. There's not really good service in the movie theater. And then Taylor walks in. And I remember like a flub with her microphone. I'm again like feverishly trying to record, but also like be in the moment. And I'm just like freaking out. And she talked for quite a while. I want to say like maybe 5 minutes. It wasn't like she went around and like shook everybody's hand. There's like a whole movie theater of people, but she thanked everybody for being there and kind of just talked about what this meant to her and how this has been such a crazy year and talked through all of that. And it was insane. And then the movie started, which of course at that point had I seen it? Yes. Yes, I had seen it. When did the movie come out? Hold on. I think I had already seen it like twice at that point. Okay, the movie came out on October 13th, 2023. I feel like, though, at this point of me seeing it at the premiere, I felt like I had seen it for some reason. Had I seen it already? Am I crazy? I don't know why I feel like in my head I was like, oh, I've already seen it, but maybe I hadn't. Either way, I ended up seeing it like 5 times that week, as I'm sure many of you guys did. But the thing was, I didn't know how to act. Like, I wanted to be like, you need to calm down. But we were also in like a very fancy atmosphere. Like, Taylor was in a freaking floor-length ball gown. Like, I was like, do I just sit here like this? Like, he was sunshine, it was midnight. But also her parents are like sitting behind us. So I'm like, I don't want to seem like I hate it. Like I want them to know I'm here for the vibes. Like, so it was kind of a fine balance. Like I definitely did some clapping and some like, ooh, 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 but I wasn't like, down on the floor, like shaking it off by any means because I didn't know the vibe. Like I kind of regret, honestly, not like making a vibe because that's very on brand for me. And I did that for when I saw it again, like that next week or weekend. I was like grabbing people out of their seats, like, we're dancing, whether you like it or not. But I just was unsure of the vibes. So that was that. After the movie concluded, it was very much like, okay, bye. Everyone leaves. So the movie concluded. You guys know it's literally like 3 hours or whatever it is. And on the way out, I grabbed some flowers from the display. They were letting people take flowers from the display. And so I took some and I still have them here today. So let me go grab them. This is them. In hindsight, I probably would have dried them professionally. They look a little sad, but that's okay. They hold memory, and that's all that matters. They low-key smell terrible. But this is the flowers from the ERAS short film premiere. Obviously, the memories is what matters most, but it was actually and truly one of my most proudest moments in my career because it was so validating in the sense that I felt like I leaned into something that scared me, and the universe paid me back tenfold. And I think that's the lesson. Not that there's a lesson in everything that I say because I'm not like some preacher or anything. But if there's a lesson in anything you can take away from this story is that it's okay, like Taylor says, to be defined by the things that you love. And I feel like talking about my love for Taylor Swift has changed my life. And I'm not saying that like monetarily, like anything. I mean it in the sense of like fulfillment. Like my life feels more full because I am just being myself to the nth degree, and I don't know, long live all the magic we've made. I mean that. It was one of the most magical days of my life. It was such a fulfilling and rewarding experience, and I am forever indebted to all the people behind the scenes that thought of me and put my name in the hat for that opportunity. It means the world to me, and I genuinely don't think that's the end of the ERAS Tour film premiere. I think that we might have another in our future. I could see there being a behind the scenes documentary. Who wouldn't want that? I don't know if it would be someone like Taylor who is working on the production of that, or if it's going to be bought out by Netflix or something like that, but a girl can dream. That's all I'm going to say. So let me know what questions you have. I am planning on doing like a general Q&A video. So if you do have any questions that you want me to answer in a future video regarding the experience, I am more than happy to. But as always, it was another great day to be alive at the same time as Taylor Swift 1 year ago, but also today. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below, drop any questions, and if you feel so inclined, send this video to a friend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.